Another day, another video about how fucking great the Skyline Valley expansion is. Well, at least the weapons that this expansion introduces. As I've said multiple times, this expansion has some of the best unique weapons in Fallout 76, and today we're diving into another gem, the Communist Dream, the Red Terror. Yeah, the name sounds a little bit racist, but it's not. Just trust me. Now, let's talk about how to get this bad boy. Just like most unique guns in this expansion, you'll have to pray to the Bethesda RNG gods to luck into this one. It might drop as a reward from completing the event Dangerous Pastime. I think it's around a 5% drop rate, maybe a 4.5% drop rate, but I've managed to score this gun 4 fucking times already, so you might get lucky. Also, a lot of people are selling it in their vending machine for 10,000, 20,000 caps, but if you want to go hunting and if you can't get it from the event, you could try from the player vendors. Now, you may be looking at this red communist machine and getting angry. You wondering if it's good and what it's doing in this god-blessed country of the USA, because we all stand with the Enclave or the Brotherhood and not those communist dogs. But it's actually so good because of the amazing legendary effects. Let's talk about them. It comes with the Furious effect, which, as we all know, was buffed recently and definitely helps the DPS on this weapon. It also comes with 25% increased damage while aiming, which is pretty shitty, but again, you're not going to use this thing in VATS, so it could be worse. You can actually get some decent increased DPS off of that if you use this thing correctly. However, yeah, it's not the best, but still okay. And then it comes with a god tier 15% faster reload, which is great because this thing is a fucking LMG, doesn't reload that fast, so you're gonna want that. And on top of all of that, it comes with a impressive double ammo capacity, a magazine that holds 150 rounds, which is fucking awesome, and happens with a lot of guns introduced in this expansion. Now, with all of these perks, you're probably thinking that it's perfect for all of those weird full health builds out there, and it is. Let's talk about that right now. So, like I said, for all you weirdos out there, this gun is tailor-made for full health builds because you're obviously not going to one-shot anyone with a full health build because bloodied is the meta, so that Furious effect really, really, really helps, and the double ammo capacity means you won't have to reload, and you're able to output more damage than using a quad. It's a godsend for all of those full health builds. Again, I wouldn't recommend using it on a bloody build when there's so many other better options, but for full health builds, it doesn't get much better than this. A double ammo capacity LMG that has the Furious effect with a 15% faster reload. You're going to want it if you're a full health build, and you're definitely going to want it if you're a newer player. This thing could obviously carry you for a little bit. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty of the testing, which I know all of you want to see, let's go over the positives that I have down for this weapon. First and foremost, this thing has a fucking amazing look to it. All of the unique weapons introduced in this expansion look fucking beautiful, including this one. This gun especially feels unique with its all red design and yellow Chinese writing. It looks and feels nice too. On top of that, it has fucking 2 custom skins. Like I said, the red one, which it comes base with, and then a fucking green one, which again is awesome. So depending on how you want to go, you could have the all green or you could have the all red, which again just adds to the uniqueness of this gun. Both of them look awesome. I prefer the red though. I think it just looks a little bit better, so I will be using this weapon stock. And then again, another positive is for all you full health builds out there, as discussed, this gun excels on full health builds. The Furious effect is fucking amazing, especially after its recent buff. I use the Angry Turtles lazy full health heavy gunner build, and just like him, this is now my go-to weapon on that character. The legendary effects complement a full health build so fucking well. I promise that Furious effect and the reload speed will have a crazy DPS output, and it will basically make full health builds slightly more viable. Not top tier like the bloodied, but you won't really feel like a lazy piece of shit if you're using one, because you could help deal some damage. And I know I keep mentioning it, and I just mentioned it, But thanks to the recent Furious Effect buff, this gun can output insane DPS like all of the weapons in this expansion. Again, especially if you are on a full health build, I cannot stress that enough. If you get it at a low level, it'll carry you until you find some fucking god rolls. I promise you. Try and get this gun. It's fucking great, just like most of the guns in this expansion. Not all, but most, and this is definitely in the top 3. Now, with its high fire rate, furious effect, and double ammo capacity, the DPS on this thing can reach crazy levels. That is probably the best positive of this weapon. Whether you have it on a bloody build, you have it on a full health build, or you're just fucking around with it, this thing can actually output DPS and can take down some of the tougher enemies in the game. I promise you, you don't want to miss out on it. Obviously, a bloodied explosive minigun is going to do more damage in the long run, but this thing is fucking amazing for all you full healthers or you low levels out there. Now, obviously, this is a new unique weapon that Bethesda added, so those positives are also going to come with some heavy negatives. And this first one up, I don't really consider a negative, but some players do. Like all the unique guns in this expansion, the rolls are final. You can't re-roll this gun. I like it, but it sucks that you can't make it stronger. Some people hate it because they love the skin but hate the rolls. I get it, but a bloodied explosive LMG with a 150 mag would be nice, but broken as hell, so you can't really expect them to add a free gun that would completely change the meta. Just kind of help the people that aren't level 500 with god rolls. Now, I already know that I touched on this earlier, and some people may not even consider this a negative. Some people might like this legendary effect, but I think the 25% in damage increase while aiming is somewhat of a negative on a gun that already has an extremely high DPS. Sometimes aiming can just slow you down, especially when mobbing at places like West Tech. Now, I understand it can be useful, and obviously you can just straight up increase your DPS after a second or two of aiming. I understand that. But, personally, I'd prefer almost any other legendary effect on this gun. I understand it could be worse. I completely get it. But it also could be explosive, which would be fucking awesome. That would, however, break the meta. Again, the DPS is high with or without this effect. It just could be a little bit higher if it was something else. Again, I understand it. That effect isn't really too much of a turn-off to completely turn me off of using this gun, and I don't think it really will affect the DPS that much. In fact, it could help it, like I said. So again, I understand it. Not the biggest fan of it, though. Now, if you are a motherfucker that uses LMGs, you'll know this negative. It's the fastest fire rate heavy gun in the game. You know that they could burn through ammo, literally, and the Red Terror is no exception. Ammo conservation with this gun is terrible, so you might as well have some fun while using it, because eventually you're going to be out of ammo. Again, for the higher level players out there, not the biggest issue in the world. It just kind of sucks that if you do get this thing as a lower level, you're going to be fighting to keep that ammo stockpile high. Again, you can just make railway spikes and then turn that into actual ammo with the ammo converter there. But if you're lower level, and if you just randomly come across this gun from obtaining it through the event, you may not know that. So good luck with that. You're going to need it. This thing will burn through your ammo supply. It's fun as fuck, though. And of course, that high fire rate helps that DPS tremendously. Alrighty, now let's get into the nitty gritty. You guys have been seeing it throughout the entire video, but let's talk about the testing and what this thing could actually do for damage. Basic mobs like Scorched or Ghouls, this thing shreds them like butter. The Furious effect doesn't even matter really because of how fast it kills them. Yeah, I mean, obviously, this thing is going to be able to tear through a group of ghouls. It's a fucking light machine gun that has a furious effect. It's a light machine gun. It doesn't matter. Moving on to those tougher enemies, though, like super mutants, it still shreds through them. They do have a little bit more defense, so the furious effect starts to shine a little bit. You could actually see your DPS increase. And again, if you aim at the super mutants, if you don't use VATS and you just hold down your sight, you actually will be doing more damage. So again, this thing is great for general mobbing. Against heavily armored enemies like the Scorched Beasts or the Grafted Monsters, it still fucking melts them. Again, The Furious effect really comes into play here, and it really helps it out, along with the double magazine. That 150 bullets coming at them definitely can help. You could take out a Scorch Beast in less than one full magazine, or you could take it down with a full magazine depending on what perks you have. For basic mobs and mini bosses like Grafted Monsters, Scorch Beast Queens, Ghouls, Super Mutants, you won't have any issues fucking them up. I promise you on that. The Furious effect against those mini bosses really starts to play. You won't even notice it that much when it comes to ghouls or super mutants because you just kill them so fast anyway. So use this gun for basic mobbing and mini bossing just like most guns in this expansion, but we still have to talk about those goddamn raid bosses. Now, like I said, let's talk about those little raid bosses, the Queen, Earl, and everything like that. The Furious effect definitely does start to help a lot when it comes to enemies like this because of how high HP they have, so you could put the entire 150 round magazine into them, and of course your DPS will receive the full Furious effect boost. Now, I wouldn't recommend using it against things like raid bosses. However, obviously, if you're a higher level, you're going to have a minigun that can output more damage, or a Gauss minigun that can have a higher DPS. If you're a lower level, and if you have this thing, fucking use it. You'll be able to do more DPS with this thing than probably most other guns that you have in your inventory. It's just for higher level players. I wouldn't really recommend using this. If you're a mid-tier player, though, yeah, I mean, yeah, use this thing. It'll do great damage because of the Furious effect. Obviously, it's not going to be bad. You know what I mean? It's not as good as a bloodied explosive minigun or a fucking bloodied Gauss minigun, but I mean, yeah, it will definitely help. There are better roles out there. This thing's not bad, though. For regular mobbing, though, as always, it holds its own against those meta weapons. For the heavy gunners, obviously, an LMG, really nice. Just the biggest thing you have to worry about is that ammo conservation. Now, just to wrap it up, for all you beautiful people out there in the wasteland, just like all the other guns in this expansion, this gun won't break the meta or change it, but it's damn fun. And for lower levels, it can help you until you find a decent Gauss minigun or a decent minigun if you want to continue with heavy guns. It's not a bossing machine for bloody players. Obviously, there's better options out there, but for you full health players out there, it might become your go-to bossing / main weapon. Let me know if you full health players out there are actually using this as a main weapon. That double ammo capacity and skin combination are fucking god tier. I think that this is probably the best looking gun added in this expansion. Super unique. It just sucks that it's not the best meta weapon, but for you full healthers, Todd really came through. For mobbing, it's fun and fucking refreshing. It's a nice little change from the meta, which is always appreciated. Again, it works well with VATS or without, which is great. I don't use heavy guns with VATS all that often, though. I found it extremely useful on my lazy gunner full health build. Again, shout out Angry Turtle, where I just kind of point and spray. Sometimes I do aim in and get that bonus from the that legendary effect there. I obviously would recommend farming this gun, even if you don't use heavy guns or don't like the effects on it. Hang it up on your wall, because this is literally the best looking gun that was introduced in this expansion, and it feels fucking amazing. This motherfucker comes with a couple of skins to flex, which is awesome. And again, I think this is definitely the best looking gun added in this expansion, and probably the best looking gun in Fallout 76. Let me know what you guys think about this gun. Let me know, for all you full health players, if this is your new main. I just want to thank you guys for watching, and as always, until next time, happy hunting in the wasteland, everyone.